Some projects are just albums, and then others become absolute legends. Today, we're going behind the curtain on Pink Floyd's The Wall, one of the most ambitious, most spectacular, and frankly, most insane projects in the entire history of music. All right, let's get into it. Right from the very start, this was never, ever just about the music. Can you imagine? Roger Waters walks in with these raw tapes for his collaborators and lays out this just mind-blowing three-part vision. It wasn't a suggestion, it was a declaration of intent that was going to completely change stadium rock forever. But look, to pull off a vision that huge, the music alone wasn't going to cut it. Pink Floyd needed a visual language that was every bit as powerful and unsettling as the story they were telling. And this image right here, the marching hammers, became the perfect symbol for the whole piece. Just this unthinking, oppressive force. So how did this massive, sprawling idea even come together? Let's break down the core concept behind what The Wall actually is. Well, the story is deeply, deeply personal. It actually came from a moment where Waters was so fed up with a disengaged audience that he actually spit on a fan. He felt this immense shame afterwards, and that feeling became the seed for the entire album. This idea of a wall that we build between ourselves and the world to, protect our own vulnerability. Now, for Waters' internal nightmares to become this huge public spectacle, he needed a partner. He needed someone who could literally draw them. And that partner was Gerald Scarfe. Scarfe was already famous for his biting political cartoons, which made him the absolute perfect artist to translate the album's themes of oppression, fear, and madness into these unforgettable and frankly terrifying images. And this was no one-off gig. You have to understand their creative relationship had been building for years. Scarfe was already making these surreal animated clips for their tours, which really paved the way for the full-blown, all-out collaboration that The Wall was destined to become. And what's so cool here is Scarfe's reaction. Even when he was listening to Waters' raw, early demos, he didn't just hear music, he saw pictures. He knew, right away, that he could add this whole other dimension of imagination for anyone watching. So Scarfe's process was this amazing mix of the personal and the symbolic. He actually drew on his own childhood memories of wearing these creepy gas masks during World War II to create the frightened ones. He imagined a hammer as just the most cruel, unthinking object he could, and then he made them march. This is literally how the visual world of The Wall was born. And this shot just perfectly illustrates how those drawings leaped right off the page and into reality. Scarfe's monstrous characters, the teacher, the mother, the wife, they were all transformed into these giant, terrifying inflatable puppets that would just loom over the audience, making Pink's inner demons terrifyingly real for everyone. Okay, so let's move on to the stage and see how this all came together. Because staging this thing back in 1980 wasn't just ambitious. A lot of people thought it was completely impossible. I mean, just look at this list. This wasn't a concert. It was an invasion. A 40-foot wall was literally built brick by brick across the entire stage during the first half of the show, sealing the band off from the audience. A plane flew over the crowd and crashed. It was pure, unprecedented theater on a scale nobody had ever seen. And yeah, people noticed. The New York Times called it a milestone, the touchstone for everything that came after. After The Wall, the old rock show format of just, a few lights and a backdrop, it suddenly looked clumsy and old-fashioned. A brand new standard had just been set. So for 30 long years, that spectacle, it just remained a memory, a legend. But then, in 2010, Roger Waters decided it was time. It was time to rebuild The Wall for a whole new generation. So you might be asking, why now? Well, a huge part of the answer is just simple economics. The original show was so ridiculously expensive that it barely even broke even. But by 2010, concert ticket revenue had totally exploded, making a massive modern tour financially possible. We're talking a rumored cost of nearly $60 million. And with that kind of budget, well, it came with a massive technological upgrade. You can see it right here. On the left, that's the original teacher puppet from 1980, and on the right, the 2010 version. It's bigger, it's more detailed, and it's way, way more menacing. Every single element got a facelift. But the biggest leap, by far, was in the projections. The original show used old 35mm film projectors. The 2010 tour, It used a completely seamless digital projection that stretched across the entire 240-foot wall. The resolution was 8K. That's literally twice the visual detail of an IMAX screen. Just insane. And to pull that off, it required an unbelievable amount of custom engineering. What you're looking at here is one of these specialized projector cradles they had to build just to perfectly align the video across that massive canvas, making sure the illusion was never, ever broken. This comparison for the grand finale just says it all. In 1980, the wall was brought down by the production designer, Mark Fisher, literally flipping a toggle switch by hand. In 2010, it was a computer-controlled system of powerful pneumatic hammers, guaranteeing a perfect, dramatic collapse every single night. So, after all these years, after all this technology, why do these images still have such a powerful grip on our culture? What makes it last? Well, for one thing, they're literally valuable. In 2017, a single one of Gerald Scarfe's original watercolor paintings for the film sold at auction for an astonishing $1.8 million. That's the art world officially saying, yep, this is iconic. But honestly, Scarfe himself puts it best. He says that music and images together create these incredibly powerful, lasting memories. And the visuals of the wall are just fused to the music in a way that makes both of them completely unforgettable. They trigger a total emotional recall. And because of that perfect fusion, the imagery has taken on a life of its own. Those marching hammers, they're no longer just part of a rock opera. They've become this universal symbol of protest against unthinking authority, used by people all over the world. Which brings us to our final question. The whole show is this incredible spectacle about building a wall, about isolation. But the most powerful moment, the real climax, is its destruction. And it leaves us thinking about the walls in our own lives and the profound and, sometimes necessary act of finally tearing them down.